Good evening. Good evening. This is a festive event. We ought to be happy to be here. Good evening. All right, thank you. That's what I'm talking about. We are here to celebrate our 9th annual Black History Month award ceremony. And we're in collaboration with our partners, Noble. And so let's give them a round of applause. While you're clapping, keep clapping for yourself. Thank you for finding the time to come here and be with us. So we're going to start first by having our welcome from our First Assistant Prosecutor, Ramesh C. Sadehu. Give him a round of applause, please.
Cheese on it. Hello, my name is Ramesh Sadehu. I'm the Acting First Assistant Prosecutor at the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. On behalf of Acting County Prosecutor Theodore Stevens and the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, I'd like to welcome you to our 9th annual Black History Month Award celebration. Black History Month has always been an important time for me, and it serves as a time where we can reflect on our tremendous African American legacy of citizens, accomplishments, and culture. Essex County, being probably the most diverse county in the state of New Jersey, that we have a large African American population that is reflected in our law enforcement agencies as well as our local government. With Prosecutor Stevens taking over the ECPO in September of 2018, we again have African American prosecutor in the front office, which has been a tradition in recent years. And that's a good thing. He's been doing a tremendous job, I'd say. This award ceremony was put together to honor members of our community that have made significant accomplishments and reflect the highest standard of integrity overall. I'd be remiss not to mention some of the notable attendees that are here today. We have Amir Jones, who is the Undersheriff, South Orange Police Chief Kyle Kroll. We have past Chief of Investigators Corvella Sproil. Newark Director of Public Safety Anthony Ambrose, who's always a pleasure. Elizabeth Police Director Earl Graves, I think I saw him. Montclair Police Chief Todd Conforti. And so many other people that we just like to welcome here that I see in the crowd. I just saw the sheriff. He just walked in, Armando Fontoura, or is he special? Okay, at this time I'd like to ask for the invocation to be done by Reverend Alfred E. Fletcher. Thank you.
Let us go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly and most gracious Father, before we do anything, we want to acknowledge you for everything. We acknowledge you for who you are because you're God and you're God all by yourself. And in you we live, we move, and have our very being. So we say thank you. If we had 10,000 tongues, we couldn't thank you enough. So on this night, God, we thank you for our ancestors and our predecessors who have gone before us and paved the way so that we might enjoy the liberties that we enjoy today. We thank you for the sacrifices they made. We thank you for the sit-ins. We thank you for the stand-ups. We thank you for the marches. We thank you for those who bled for us and some who even died for us. So we understand that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. So we will not forget the things that they have done, the actions they have taken, and the accomplishments that they have achieved. But even now, God, on this day, we come this day not just to celebrate our honorees, but to let them know that we appreciate them, not on this day, but we appreciate them every day. We thank you for all those who had a hand in putting this program together. We thank you for the continued partnership between the Essex County Prosecutor's Office under the leadership of Theodore Stevens, and we thank you for the partnership with Noble under the leadership of Niles Jib. We thank you for his staff, and we thank you for his members. So now, God, as we go forward, we most of all would like to thank you for our honorees. We ask that you continue to bless them and watch over them and keep them. We thank you for the things that they do, not just in Essex County, not just in the state of New Jersey, but the lives they touch around the world. We ask that you bless their families. We ask that you keep them and you sustain them. We ask for your many blessings to be upon this ceremony and these your people. In Christ's name we pray. And all God's people said, amen.
Lastly, I was remiss to not mention our keynote speaker, the Honorable Ross Baraka, the mayor of the city of
Here we stand back up. We're going to lift this jubilantly. If you know it, we're going to smile and sing it together. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark path has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. We'll sing the third verse. God of our weary years, God of our weary years, God of our silence, thou who hast brought us, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet, oh, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Out of the gloomy past, out of the gloomy past, till where we stand, with a white gleam, with a white gleam of our bright star is cast. Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, let's hear it for that rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. You know, I don't know about you, but I always get confused. Whenever we put words for one verse in the program, we sing more than one verse. And when you have more than three, you only sing the first. So we're going to coordinate this one of these days. Maybe we'll call my friends in the legislature. We'll have a little law that handles that going forward. But everything is good and in good order, that's for sure. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a wonderful crowd. You look good from here. I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. Because it's extremely important that this particular holiday, this month, is well recognized. This is Black History Month or African American History Month. And of course, it's the shortest month in the year. But having said all of that, we've, as a people, African Americans have been squeezing so much into a shorter period of time, doing so much with less. taking the scraps of what were given by the folks who were persecutors and turning that into a luxurious cuisine. And we've been doing that our whole lives, and we are all the benefactors of that being here today. And so we celebrate not the fact that there was slavery in this country, but the fact that we have overcome that, and that today we celebrate all the accomplishments that have been brought to this country by African Americans, and there are so many. One thing the program does display is a list of the various inventions and only a small segment of the contributions that were there. But I had strict orders that they should not put in the name of Benjamin Crumb. He was not going to be listed there. You see, because Benjamin Crumb is one of the banes of my existence. In Saratoga, New York, Benjamin Crumb invented the potato chip. And I'm having a hard time getting over that one, but we'll see, we'll persevere. But really, we can't have African American History Month and not give credit and applause to the founder, the person whose idea, Mr. Carter G. Woodson, who in 1915 brought that idea forward. So let's give a round of applause for Carter G. Woodson. Now, we're going to move the program fairly quickly this evening because everybody, we have some food we want to get to. We have a little game we want to get to, too, in a little while. So a little something different to see how that goes. But one of our first award recipient, the first one that came to all of our minds is the gentleman who happens to be the mayor of this great city, none other than Mayor Raz J. Baraka. And Mayor Baraka, as everybody knows, comes from a long and storied family here in the city of Newark. He happens to be the 40th mayor, I believe, in the city's history, which coincides perfectly with your age, right? So that's exactly funny how those things work out. But coming from, after leaving the public school education here in Newark, New Jersey, he went to the venerable Howard University, a historically black university in Washington, D.C., and then came back ready for the challenges that befall him. Newark, as we know, as they say in the colloquialism among the kids, is no joke. The challenges that are here in the city of Newark are second to nowhere in this country. But similarly, the opportunities that lie ahead in the city of Newark are similarly second to none. And the individual who runs the city is certainly more than prepared to move Newark toward the next chapter. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our honoree and our keynote speaker, the Honorable Raz J. Baraka.
Thank you. It's a pleasure of being here. I'm humbled. I'm not going to be long. I have to go to another Black History program, in fact, in New York City. So I was honored and surprised that the prosecutor asked me to come and receive an award. And then a few minutes later in the conversation, also asked me to be a speaker. So I guess that was my payment for speaking, that he would give me an award. It's 2 for 1. Never in my life I would have thought that I would be speaking at an event organized by the Essex County Prosecutor, and definitely not giving a Black History Month speech at an event organized by the Essex County Prosecutor. So maybe for Black History Month, they'll make me permanent. That's my return payment, bro. But, you know, I appreciate, I grew up in a family, in a household, you know, Newark is my home. It's been my home, my family's home for almost 100 years. My parents found their way here in the second migration, because there were 2. There was one early on, in the early 1900s. Many African Americans moved up north, running away from terror and Jim Crow. They moved running from the boll weevil and plantation south. They moved in the first wave. In the second wave, people came up here looking for work. because of the war. They landed in places like Newark, New Jersey. But my family thought they was going to New York. The train conductor said Newark, and they thought they were in New York. And they got off, and we ain't left since. And in fact, that's a whole lot of people's story, that we found our way here to Newark, New Jersey, because the ports and all of the projects that you see, some of those were barracks, and people lived there and worked there, and they made money. Unfortunately, when the war was over, we got fired. And, they began to redline and began to move people out into the suburbs. And they actually subsidized housing for people coming home from the war that finally went to many people, subsidized them to move into the suburbs. And they gave us subsidized housing too. It's called Hayes Homes Projects, Prince Street Projects. So we had subsidized housing, and then other people had subsidized housing at the same time, which led to a downward trend in these communities. I mean, because education was funded by property tax, and most of the people who owned the property began to leave out. And so we had a gap in funding, and we know about that as city leaders. It made it difficult to have services, difficult to run school systems, difficult to hire police officers, difficult to do the things that people normally do. And then you get the moniker that you weren't able to run the cities properly because they took the base right from under you. That's a whole nother topic, and I didn't plan on talking about that today. But, I just wanted to let you know my foundation, where I came from. I was born in Newark, right? Actually, I was born at Orange Memorial Hospital. That's not Newark. And my mama was up there when it was time for her to deliver, so we delivered up there. But I was raised in the city of Newark, in the South Ward. I still live in the South Ward to this day. My mother and father raised me to love who I am, to appreciate my culture, my history, my background, to understand that I represent the only people who came here against their will. We didn't come looking for religious freedom. We didn't come because we thought the streets were paved with gold. We didn't come here looking for jobs. As a matter of fact, we were the jobs. We didn't come looking for none of those things. We came against our will, and we wound up here. History has placed us in this country, right? And so our existence here is because history has made that so, right? And so my father used to say, when people say, go back to where you came from, he would always say, well, they shouldn't have brought us here, one, and two, if everybody went back where they came from, the airports would be crowded. But at the end of the day, I represent the only people who came here against their will, right? Who were made property by law. And it's befitting that we talk about this in the Essex County facility and the prosecutor's event, because in 1860, at the height of slavery, America's gross domestic product, more than 60% of it was fueled by free labor. That free labor fueled the American economy, the insurance industry, the shipping industry, the cotton industry, the textile industry. It was fueled by free labor. And that the only time when we were fully employed in this country was when we were in slavery. And the real dichotomy of that is now in present day, in 2020, right, there are more African-American men in jail now than was enslaved at the height of slavery in 1860. And then let's look at the bridge to that. There was an amendment passed, right? The amendment was the 13th Amendment, and the 13th Amendment stated that slavery or involuntary servitude would be illegal unless you were convicted of a crime. And so it begs the question, has the prison industrial complex become the new slave master? And how do we figure out how to create pathways of us to move away from prison and more into the workforce, more into things that would help us be productive with our family, our community, our nationality, who we are? How do we begin to focus on that and begin to stop people from going to prison and send more people to college? As a matter of fact, when I was on my way to college in 1986, my best friend was taking a bus to Annandale. I was getting on a train to go to Howard University, right? So while I was going to college, my friend was going to jail. And one of the reasons that I came back to Newark is so I could make sure that more of us went to college and less of us went to jail. So that was something that drove me all the time when I was in college, that made me understand that despite the craziness I was doing or the trouble I might have got in, that I was always destined to show up on the streets of the city of Newark to make sure that I did whatever I could to make sure that folks decided to take the pathway I took, to have an opportunity to take those pathways. I wasn't one of those type of people that the African proverb says, once you come in from the rain, it's difficult to go back outside again. Some of us come in from the rain, and we're afraid to go back out to bring other people in. We inside the building now, so we talk about the people outside the building, forgetting that we was out there at one point. Why don't you grab a couple of umbrellas and take your butt outside and shepherd some people into the building? Just because you're on this side of the wall, this side of the building, doesn't mean you can't go outside and grab somebody and bring them in. It doesn't mean you can't. You're going to get everybody. Everybody's going to be successful in that, right? But you make an attempt. I mean, it's an easier attempt than Harriet Tubman made. It's an easier attempt than Harriet Tubman made on her own, running miles and miles and miles, then go back to bring hundreds of people back, right? Right? It's the same concept that we have to use the institutions that we have to free people. To free people in Carter G. Woodson's saying to free their mind, right? Because Carter G. Woodson says that you do not have to enslave people once you enslave their mind, right? That you don't have to force people to go to the back door if you convince them that the back door is where they should go. So as a matter of fact, once they have been convinced that the back door is where they should go, you don't have to tell them to go to the back door. They're going to go to the back door on their own. And it goes deeper, says that if there wasn't a back door, that they would create a back door just so they could go in it. And that's basically, the dilemma we find ourselves in. So programs like this, that's what Black History Month is about to me. To be able to free people's minds so they don't create back doors or they don't go through the back door and pretend that it's the front door. Right? That they understand that there are other options that they have, other opportunities that they have, that there are other people that they can look up to. There's information that exists that helps them shepherd their way to freedom and then bring other people with them, right? I'm going to shut this down soon, but, I was talking last week to some students, and, Saturday, and one of the students, into the Carter G. Woodson mode. They were talking about why it's necessary for us to have these discussions. Why it's necessary for us to talk about, people say, slavery was a whole bunch of years ago. But we always say slavery, we don't mention Jim Crow or redlining or housing discrimination. But I didn't even go through all that with her. I just said, I just want you to listen to this scenario, to this thing that happened, and understand how grave the conditions was for us then and how incredible it must be for us to still be here today, right? I said in 1919, this is after slavery, in 1919, a man named Will Brown in Omaha, Nebraska, was being tried for assaulting a white woman, right? They put him in the courthouse. The mob, white mob was so enraged, right? This wasn't Baltimore or Newark Rebellion. This is Omaha in 1919, right? They were so enraged, they burned the courthouse. They set the courthouse on fire. The mayor came out of the mayor, who's also white, came out of the courthouse to calm the crowd down. They took the mayor and threw him over a light pole and tried to hang the mayor of the town. The townspeople had to rescue the mayor so he wouldn't be hung. Then they went into the courthouse and grabbed Will Brown and threw him over another lamppost and riddled his body with bullets. Then threw him on the back of a truck and drove him to the center of town, right? And set his body on, they hung him and set his body on fire. Then they sold pieces of the rope that they hung his body with for 10 cents for people as souvenirs. So when people when people try to belittle or undermine why it's necessary for us to remember and talk about where we come from, that is our part of our history, right? And so it's important for us to remember that so it never happens again. It's important for us to understand that so we can understand the forces that created that. It's important for us to understand who in their right mind would do that so we can make sure those people aren't empowered. Right? We need to understand the laws that made it okay for things like that to happen so we can make sure those laws don't exist anymore. We need to understand that how mayors are elected, how sheriffs are elected, how people are elected, right? So we can participate in those so those type of people aren't elected anymore. We got to understand those things. We have to read and study that. So we are as urgent about it as folks were about it then, right? We have to be as urgent about it today, particularly in this climate with this crazy person in the White House, right? We have to be urgent about it enough to understand that though those things, like to that extreme are happening, there are some very close things that are taking place, close enough to that, for us to be aware and alert, so we make sure that things like that do not take place. I know it's difficult for us, especially some of us in here because we have position. We got a little authority, and they let you, get these jobs that you got. And, you think you got this job because you got a good resume. A lot of people, they walk around. I've seen people out walk around the building. You probably did. You're probably right. And you deserve the fact that you got a great resume and you went to college and I did this and I graduated from this and I studied this and I have this degree and all. There was a time when they wouldn't even read your resume. And so there are people who were more brilliant than you, who were smarter than you, right? Who worked harder than you, who couldn't get what you got. And they couldn't get what you got because things didn't exist to allow them to get what you got. They gave their life so you can get what you have. So it's important for you to honor those people who cannot have the things that you have today, right? So when people get up and accept awards, they should thank God and Harriet Tubman. They should thank God and Frederick Douglass. They should thank God and W.E.B. Du Bois. I thank God and Sojourner Truth. I thank God and Amiri and Amina Baraka. I thank God and Kenneth Allen Gibson. I thank God and the Congress of African People. I thank God and the NAACP. I thank God and the Urban League and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I thank God and all of those people because without the grace of God, I wouldn't be alive and well to receive what I received. But without those people dying or fighting, I most certainly wouldn't be where I am today. And so God is in all of this. I know it's difficult for people to understand that God was in it even when he was being brought from the Gulf of Guinea. And that's a great way to close because we came from the Gulf of Guinea. That's a great way to close. When Martin Luther King was arrested, he was arrested for protesting. He wasn't arrested for stealing or robbing cars or shooting people or selling heroin. He was arrested because he wanted the people to vote. He was arrested, right? He was arrested. When they arrested him, they took his Bible, and they wrote his number in the Bible. You guys, you cops in here, you get those prosecutors that give you that number, 56210. They put it in his Bible. You open it, it was right in his Bible, and it's there so you can identify the Bible. But there's one thing that the jailer didn't know, that God was there, right? So when King was arrested and they took King's Bible. When King passed away, the Bible didn't. The Bible lived longer than King. So the Bible lived through that time, through Jim Crow, through housing discrimination, through Newark Rebellion, through the Watts Rebellion, through all of the stuff that took place. And you know where that Bible found its way? It found its way all the way to Washington, D.C., under the hands of Barack Obama, swearing himself in as the first African-American president in the most powerful country in the world. Now, you tell me God ain't involved in that. That jailer didn't know that Bible was going to show up in Washington, D.C., and President Obama would be swearing in into the most powerful place in the world with Martin Luther King's Bible. That's God saying, you thought you was in charge, but I'm in charge. That one day the meek will inherit the earth, and the least of these will be the most powerful of these. That's what God did. And so when I saw that, when I understood that, and I say that spirit, that gives me hope that the work that we do is always going to be fruitful. And even in the most difficult time, when things seem like they're not going to happen, I remember that story because King ain't know Barack Obama. King never met Barack Obama. King don't even know Barack Obama's daddy. He didn't know Barack Obama's granddad. He don't know his family or his lineage, but they met. They met because Martin Luther King was in D.C. that day by the grace of God. To say, I might have got arrested in Selma for fighting for the right to vote, but my fight for the right to vote resulted in the first African-American man being made the president of the United States. That's real. That's real. That's as real. Listen, that's as real as it gets. I know I'm making a couple of people uneasy here. I see your faces. You're moving to the side. You're trying to figure out what you did. If God is in this stuff, you're trying to figure out, let me chill out on all the negative stuff I'm doing, because if God is on the good stuff, he's certainly on the bad stuff. So watch that stuff you're doing, because he's definitely involved in this. He's definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, involved in our struggle to be free. I believe that, right? And anybody who believes in God, how can he not be? How can he not be for people who were persecuted and perished? How could he not be for that? He was with people trying to leave Egypt. He was with Moses, right? Then he would be with us. Then he would be with us, right? He was with David against Goliath. Isn't that right? So he was with us, right? He was with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in that fiery furnace, and he's certainly going to be with us, right? He was with them, so he certainly will be with us. So I don't want you to fret, right? I want you to understand that the work that you're doing, no matter where you are, right, that you do it, and you keep your head up, and you understand that Black History Month is the time when you can unapologetically be black, right? That means can't nobody say nothing to you for saying you black today. You get a black pass. You get to walk through wherever you at with your shoulders back and your head up, wear your African clothes, do whatever it is you're going to do, learn some Swahili if you want to, say a few things to people, say right on, give fist bumps, do all the things you want to do, and all of the buildings and all the institutions to let folks know this is our month, right? It may be the shortest, but it's the baddest, right? We appreciate that. So I want to thank, again, Mr. Prosecutor, for you allowing me the opportunity to speak here today. And that was as short as I can give it to you. I appreciate it, and I think that this is also, this is the kid that was protesting in front of City Hall many years ago, organizing, on these blocks, doing the different things that I was doing at that time. For him to put me in the position that I'm in, to be able to give a Black History Month speech in Essex County in building for the prosecutor's office, right, in Sheila Oliver's conference center means a lot to me, and I think everything is done purposefully and everything is done on time, right? And this time is a good time. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Come on, everybody, rise to your feet for the mayor. That was certainly worthy of that. Yes, sir. If that wasn't worthy, I don't know what really is. So now you know why I asked the mayor to have that double duty, because we certainly were treated in a certain way, in a tremendous way. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing I know for sure, as if we believe that Black history is part of American history, then we can extol the virtues that the mayor talked about today. Because one thing for sure, pro-Black is not anti-white. Pro-Black is not anti-anything. It's just pro-Black. Every entity in this country, especially in this county, is allowed to extol the virtues, because if we can't talk positively for each other, then who can and who will? So, Mayor, we thank you for bringing the verve today, bringing the noise, as they say, because you were tremendous, and certainly by giving a history lesson and reciting so many tremendous things. And so I'd like to just, because I know you're in a hurry, so I'm not going to hold you, but we have to give you, love to give you, this award, which is co-sponsored by NOBLE, the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives. And just simply saying, on 2020 Black History Month Recognition Award, presented to Mayor Raz Baraka for the city of Newark, in recognition of your support to the citizens of Essex County, not just Newark, but to Essex County, and your individual pursuit of excellence and commitment to law enforcement. We thank you so much. I know one individual who I'd like is not on the program to speak, but he's a gentleman who's a mentor of mine who, with the Black History Month or any History Month, he is one of the tremendous representatives from the county of Essex. He is the dean, I will say, of law enforcement in the county of Essex, and my good friend. Let's hear a few words, we will, from Sheriff Armando Fontoura, if he would come forward.
thought Ted was my friend. I have to follow Raz Baraka? Come on. Please. Anthony, can you help me on this? Well, congratulations to all the recipients. Noble, keep on keeping on. Your work is indeed noble and crucial to all of us. If memory serves me correct, Noble was created in Newark, New Jersey. So it's appropriate that we have this event every year in Newark, New Jersey. It's created in Hubert Williams' office. I was in that office at that time, so I remember it very well. And the goals of Noble then are the goals of Noble now. And we appreciate all your good work. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And so I don't really get in trouble. I have to go with the other co-dean here in Essex County. If Newark certainly is the largest customer and constituent for the prosecutor's office, we can't do what we do without the assistance and the wisdom coming from the Director of Public Safety in the city of Newark. And so I'd just like to acknowledge that the gentleman who handles that role, Mr. Director Anthony Ambrose. Let's give him. And you know, Anthony Ambrose, some people in his department says that Anthony Ambrose is not really a white man. He's just light-skinned, somebody said one time. So they did say that, right? Anyway, we're at the point now we're going to take a liberty, a couple of deviations from the program. But one thing that the mayor reminded me of was just how you have to write these things down, because as you get older, you know, you forget some things from time to time. And so I'm reminded of a country preacher who was having difficulty remembering very important names in the Bible during his sermon. I mean, really important names like Mary and Abraham. I mean, he was really having a problem. So but he didn't want to take notes because he had done extemporaneous preaching his entire life. He wanted to continue to look that way. So he decided that he would write little notes on various parts of his garment in order he could be reminded if he got to a difficult part in the passage. So he was talking about Noah and the ark that God told him to build. And he said that Noah called his 3 sons. And his first son was named Shem. And the other son was named Adam. And the third son was also named Oscar de la Renta. Anyway, that's enough of that. We're going to have a musical interlude right now.
Our winners today are for our trivia contest for Black History Month is Deborah Gregory, and we have a prize for you.
Thank you.
And we have Chelsea Coleman from the Essex County Prosecutor's Office for her hand. Both of them a hand. It's a tough quiz.
The answers are, number 1 was James Baldwin. Number 2 was Frederick Douglass.
Next up, I'd like to bring up Anthony Higgins, a special friend of mine, a director of our juvenile unit. Put your hands together. AP Director Anthony R. Higgins was born and raised in Newark. He graduated from Science High School. He went on to receive his Bachelor of Arts and his Juris Doctorate degrees from Rutgers University. Proud member of the ECPO, Mr. Higgins is Director of the Juvenile Trial Division. In that capacity, he oversees the implementation of juvenile justice for the entire county. He's been with his beautiful wife, Rachel, for over 20 years. Their love of children is notoriously boundless, with them having been foster parents and emergency placement parents for 8 children. I'd like to award you with our Noble Award for this year in recognition of your support to the city of Essex County and your individual pursuit of excellence and your commitment to law enforcement. Thank you. Next, I would like to ask Chief McGuire to approach the podium so we can make a presentation to Lieutenant Reginald Holloway and Kim Jones.
Come on out, Reg. Lieutenant Reginald Holloway, my brother. I'll read his bio, but there's a lot more to Reggie than this bio. Some of us in this room know what it's about, some of us don't. Lieutenant Reginald Holloway began his career in law enforcement with the Essex County Sheriff's Office in April of 1990, where he was assigned to the Court Division. In 1997, he was transferred to the Bureau of Narcotics. He is an expert within the field of narcotics, whereas until a year of 2018, he was provided expert testimony to over 800 Superior Court cases. From September of 2007 to July 2014, he was assigned to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office Narcotics Task Force. In July 2014, he was hired by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office with the rank of sergeant. While remaining a member of the Narcotics Task Force, in September of 2018, he was assigned to the Narcotics, sorry about that, I need my glasses on. In September 2018, he was assigned to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office Executive Protection Unit, where he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. I stand here today proud to present you, Reggie, with this award. All right. Presented to Lieutenant Reginald Holloway, Essex County Prosecutor's Office, in recognition of your support to the citizens of Essex County, your individual pursuit of excellence, and commitment to law enforcement. My brother Reg, this is for you. Reggie Reg! Those who work in this office, though I carry the title of chief, we know who the real chief is. She keeps me honest each and every day I come into work. She keeps my schedule. She keeps me on point. She makes sure that I go home when I'm supposed to go home, and I get my butt to work when I need to get there. So I'm forever grateful to you, Kimmy. Kimberly Jones began her career with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office in 2007. While a senior at Rutgers, she was assigned to the Office of the Chief of Detectives under the leadership of then Chief Anthony Ambrose, where she remained until the end of 2011. In 2012, Kimberly accepted a position with J.P. Morgan Chase. It broke our hearts when you left us. It broke our hearts when you left us. After 3.5 years in corporate America, Kimberly returned home and continued her position in the Chief's office. She has since worked under the leadership of retired Chief Corvella Spruill and under the current Chief, myself. Kimberly has gone on to pursue her master's at FDU and the College of St. Elizabeth and has since started a tutoring business. A constant learner herself, and believe me, she is a learner and a talker. She is an advocate for education, especially with minority youth. She is also Juvenile Conference Committee panel member. When Kimberly is not serving or performing her duties in the Essex County Prosecutor's Office or teaching or instructing at SAT classes, you will find her traveling around the globe as she is a worldwide traveler and an avid reader. Kimberly, little Miss Kimmy, we present this award to you with your title of investigative aide in recognition of your support of the citizens of Essex County, and it should say of me, and your individual pursuit of excellence and commitment to law enforcement. Kimmy, this is for you.
Okay, next I'd ask Jeff Noble to approach the podium to make a presentation for our Lieutenant Colonel Fritz project.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Noble. I'm the Deputy Superintendent of the State Police. It's truly an honor to be here. My last name also happens to be Noble, which I'm very proud of. I want to replace my name pin with the Noble pin that I see here tonight. thank you for doing what you do as an organization. But most importantly, there's so many men and women in law enforcement here tonight, and we know that we are judged not necessarily by the patch on our sleeves, the color of our uniforms, and most certainly not by the rank, whatever rank we have. As men and women in law enforcement, we're judged by the actions in which we carry ourselves, the way that we carry ourselves, and the manner in which we serve. That true belief in servant leadership, that's what defines a true public servant. And there's no one better in the New Jersey State Police that embodies that sense of servant leadership, putting others before yourselves, than Lieutenant Colonel Fritz Frage. I've known Colonel Fritz Frage for his whole 21-year career. I've worked side by side with him in the investigations branch where he came up. He has put himself in harm's way for the betterment of his community and of his fellow officers. He is truly the example of the type of police officer that shines both in and out of uniform. There's not a minute that goes by that Fritz Frage is not representing himself and the New Jersey State Police proudly. I've attended so many different events with Colonel Frage over the last 2 years that it's really an honor. Normally, he and I are sitting together, clapping for other people, and it's really an honor, Fritz, for me as your friend and your colleague to stand here and introduce you as tonight's honoree. You deserve it. You really do, and it's my honor. Let me tell you a little bit about Fritz. Fritz earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He went on to earn his master's degree from Seton Hall University. Fritz is currently in command of our investigations branch, which is by far the most complex, critical branch we have. He supervises over 750 civilians and enlisted detectives. He oversees our Office of Forensic Sciences. He oversees our intelligence apparatus, our Joint Terrorism Task Force apparatus, our official corruption unit, our major crime bureau, which many of you in this office know. We have many of Fritz's members assigned to various task forces here in Essex County. He's a forward thinker, he's progressive, and most importantly, he's ready to serve at a moment's notice. When the bell rings, whether it's a shooting in Jersey City or it's a murder here in Essex County, I can assure you behind the scenes, it's people like Fritz Frage, as he leads them, that answers that call. And I know he's developed great relationships with all of you in this room, and it's for those reasons that the state of New Jersey is safer and we are better for it. It's my honor at this time to call up Lieutenant Colonel Fritz Frage of the New Jersey State Police.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure today to introduce our honoree, Deputy Chief William Young from Montclair. As you all know, we have a great relationship with the Montclair Police Department, and Deputy Chief Young is an example of that relationship. He is a Montclair resident. He is a 27-year veteran of the Montclair Police Department. Deputy Chief Young was educated at the Community College of the Air Force and Fairleigh Dickinson University. He's married and the father of 5 children. He also has 5 grandchildren. He has served on the executive board of the Montclair branch of the NAACP and chaired the Criminal Justice Committee. He enjoys spending time with Wendy, his best friend and his wife of 28 years. He enjoys golfing, photography, motorcycles, going to the gym, coaching the Montclair Cobras. I'm assuming that's a football team? Okay. And most of all, cooking out with family and friends at his fire pit. It's my pleasure to welcome him for this award. 2022 Black History Month recognition of William Young, Deputy Chief, Montclair Police Department. Thank you. God bless you.
Amir is my good friend. I've known Amir. I get old to the point when I say I've known him since he was, this big. But that's certainly, you hear that cliche, but it's certainly true. It's true. Amir Jones is the son of Jackie Jones and East Orange and Democratic Chair Leroy Jones. And so we had our start, Leroy and I, way back when Amir was a very young man. And so one of the great things, even though this is about Jackie, I'd be remiss not to say how proud we are of you and your ascension to where you are today. Very, very, very well deserved. Very well. But his mom, Jackie, oh Lord, she's something else. Jackie is a hard worker. Jackie is the epitome of an individual who has stuck to a task and digs in and works as hard as anyone at everything that she does. And at the same time, doing so with a tremendous demeanor and a great attitude that makes her a pleasure to be around. Jackie was raised and resides in my hometown, the city of East Orange. She's employed by the county of Essex as the Deputy Director of Human Resources Department. She's received numerous awards and acknowledgments, including being honored by the Essex County Executive Joe DiVincenzo as the 2018 Coretta Scott King Leadership Award recipient. She is the loving wife of Leroy Jones, as I said, who currently serves as the Democratic chairman. She is the proud mother of Rakaya, Tanisha, Trayvon, Nadir, and Amir, Sr., Tahir, and 6 adorable grandchildren, Amir Jr., Naisha, Tahira, Chloe, Callie, and Grayson. She has a special love for her precious dog, Sydney. So in absentia, please accept this award for Ms. Jackie Jones. Our next recipient is no stranger to anyone active here in the city of Newark. And I'd like to ask come forward the NAACP branch chairman, Ms. Deborah Smith Gregory. See, once again, the program has been changed. And at the request of one of our honorees, she wants me to leave the bio to you at your own reading, at your own pace. And instead, she wants me to yield my time to her, because she has some words she'd like to say. So, Ms. Smith Gregory.
Thank you. I will be brief. I just want to, first of all, acknowledge the other NAACP branch leaders and members who are here. Would you please stand? Because the NAACP is a volunteer, thank you may be seated, is a volunteer advocacy organization. We all are volunteers. And the idea is to champion the elimination of racial discrimination and patterns that would seem to be discriminatory. And I would be remiss if I didn't speak about the seemingly pattern here in the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. It seems that when we look back at Carolyn Murray, she was acting prosecutor. And she never became the prosecutor. And now we have acting prosecutor Ted Stevens. And he's been that since 2018. So I just want to prick the consciousness of this room to say that we have to be mindful of what appears to be patterns. And then we have to speak about it. And I just needed to, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I needed to say that as the NAACP advocate. And at the same time, I am so grateful to see so many beautiful men here. I ask, and I know that some of you are paying it forward, but I ask that you continue to pay it forward. I saw a couple of you over at Four Seasons today, 5 of you, and 5 of you upstanding beautiful, productive law enforcement officials in uniform and out look a lot different than 5 knuckleheads on the corner. They need to be able to come into contact with you. And I know that it's a fine line because you have the line of you are protecting us and you are serving. But my call to action, the NAACP's call to action, is that you pay it forward in the spirit of Alonzo Evans, Floyd Bostic, in the spirit of those who have come before you, in the spirit of those who are standing here in front of you. We need you. I am the mother of 2 sons. We need you. Our community needs to see you and experience you. You have a brotherhood with one another, but we need to see you as well. And it doesn't take a lot. It can be little things like coaching the Cobras, okay? It's like little things like that. If everyone did something like that, a little something like that, our entire Essex County community would be stronger and better and safer. So I would like to thank the Noble organization, and as well, I would like to thank all of you law enforcement, because like Mayor Baraka said, there used to be a time when I ran from you. Now I run to you, and I welcome you, and I say, hey, how you doing? Can I get you a cup of coffee, or I want to take a picture with you? But that's because I've learned to interact, and our young people need to learn as well. Go into the schools, go into wherever you're asked to go, please serve. That is the NAACP Newark's call to action. Thank you.
Once again, it's my pleasure to, I have a special place in my heart for women who work and have children and husbands. And this woman, Lieutenant Sharonda Morris, embodies that. Congratulations. She was born and raised in the city of Newark. She graduated from University High School and from Rutgers in Newark with a degree in accounting. Lieutenant Morris joined the Newark Police Division in 1998 and began her career at the West District. Over her career, she has worked in the West, South, and North precincts, as well as in human resources, the business office, and she was promoted to sergeant in 2008, and in 2016, she was promoted to lieutenant. Lieutenant Morris is currently assigned to the Office of Professional Standards as the executive officer. She has been married for 22 years and has raised 5 sons. That's quite impressive. And one of her sons has gone on to become a state trooper. Thank you for your service.
So, Sergeant Anisha Ford, she began her career in corrections. She went on to the Irvington Police Department, and then she joined a task force with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. And she has a lot of fans, you can tell. During that time on the task force, Anisha stood out. And, you know, we had this kind of silent partnership with the departments. Third camera's left. Well, we had a silent partnership with departments that we wouldn't hire their people. So I became chief, and I didn't make an agreement not to hire people on the task force. So Anisha became a detective in the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. And I love Director Bowers. He knows all love. He was upset for a minute, but he forgave me. And we're still friends, so no love lost. And we gained a great great detective, and now sergeant. So I'd like to present this award to you, Sergeant Anisha Ford, in recognition of your support to the citizens of Essex County in your individual pursuit of excellence and commitment to law enforcement. And this is definitely on behalf of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office and Noble, because she is also a Noble member. Growing by bounds. And unfortunately, a lot of officers work, they couldn't be here today, but because of the hard work that the chapter does, we're able to put on these presentations and assist departments with providing awards. I believe last but not least, our next honoree is Sergeant First Class Stacy Lloyd. And just as, like I said, we take over, I am going to say my remarks, and I'm going to let the Colonel Frage also give his remarks as well. I don't even know if he heard me. So Sergeant First Class Lloyd, I was able to really get to know her when we did a summer program this year. And I will tell you this, she is passionate, she is strong, she is dedicated to her job, to her family, to being educated, to continuing. I don't know what her next venture is. She got a PhD, I'd be tired, I'd be done. Like, I don't want to go back to school, but I can imagine she's probably going to jump into something else next, just because that is her. But the biggest thing I recognize about Sergeant Lloyd is that, guess what? She takes time for herself. And I think that's one of the biggest things during this month for all of us, not just African Americans and blacks. We have to keep in mind to keep growing, keep thinking, keep aspiring to do bigger and better things. And that's what she's exemplified for me. She even challenged me a little bit to do something else. Congratulations. Thank you. So, sir.
No, I just wanted to come up here and say something about this beautiful sergeant over here. When you have people that are, she was in recruiting. I remember I had certain people that were trying to apply to the state police, and she went beyond the call of duty to get these people involved, to apply, to let them know what to expect. Because half the time when people apply, they don't know what to expect. They come prepared, and she would meet recruits on Saturdays or days off. Her outreach is something that you can't even, it's just hard to put. You could be in recruiting, and then you could really be a recruiter. And I think it's just from her time she had in the military, where it is, it's green, it's only light green and dark green. In policing, it's either light blue or dark blue, but we're all the same. And her outreach while she was recruiting is something that I commend. And how many times I've called you? About 20, 30 times. I have this kid. He's interested. And she would outreach and go talk to the kids on a Saturday and try and get them involved, get them in shape. Because the state police, the physical part is probably one of the hardest things to overcome in the academy. We lose 40 to 50% of personnel just because they can't physically compete. And I just wanted to commend her for that. If we can all give her a round of applause for
Is that it? Well, seeing that I am the one standing between you and the food in the back of the room, that is almost about it. I do want to just say a couple things. One, I want to thank all of our dignitaries and people who joined us tonight. Without you, nights like this would not be possible. I want to thank our honorees for doing what they do and what they will continue to do. We were quite inspired by the message of paying it forward, and I just want to say the Essex County Prosecutor's Office is committed to paying it forward. It is, as the boss always tells me, our motto is to seek, do, and serve justice for the citizens of Essex County and to the members of our community. Quick story. I swear to you it'll be really quick. About 2 weeks ago, last Friday, the prosecutor and I went to a school here in Newark for the 100-day celebration of school, and it was eye-opening for me. We sat in the auditorium and we taught these young men how to tie ties. We interacted with them. They got to ask us questions. And this one little guy had been talking to the prosecutor, and then he walked away and he came up to me and he goes, "You a detective?" I said, yeah, I'm a detective. He goes, "What kind of detective?" I said, "I'm the head detective." He goes, You the head detective?" I said, "Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and goes, and I said, "Yes. And with God, all things are possible." In closing, though, that little man touched my heart and the prosecutor's heart. And 4 days later, I made my way with my busy schedule down there to check on this young man. Pulled him out of class, brought him to the office, told him, "I'm watching." And he told me a little bit about his life. 24 brothers, 4 sisters, father not around, family involved in gangs and drugs. He said he's not interested in it. I said, "That's good. I'm not interested for you either." And the prosecutor and I have made a commitment to this young man that we will be in his life each and every day. We can't save them all, but we will save one at a time. In the famous words of Russell Simmons, thank you for coming out. God bless and good night.